I woke before the others that morning, though not by choice. Something was out there, moving just beyond the thin walls of the tent. At first, half asleep, I thought it was just the usual sounds of the forest, branches shifting, the faint rustle of wind in the leaves. But then came the unmistakable scrape of metal on stone, followed by a hollow thud that made my stomach tighten. Our cookpot, no doubt, being dragged across camp. I eased myself upright, careful not to jostle the others. The air was still damp with night, and smoke from yesterday's fire lingered low, mixing with the rich scent of pine. My boots waited at the flap, but I didn't dare put them on. Barefoot, I pressed an ear to the canvas. That's when I heard it, a wet snuffling, punctuated by the sound of wrappers tearing. Something had found our food. The memory of last night's laughter by the fire felt suddenly far away. We had done what campers always do, hung most of the food high on a branch. But a bag of trail mix and a few scraps from dinner had been left near the grate. Rookie mistake. My pulse quickened as the snuffling grew louder, closer. Then came a sound that jolted me fully awake. The sharp, hollow crunch of teeth on aluminium. I knew with an uncomfortable certainty that whatever it was had just punctured one of our soda cans. I hesitated. Do I wake the others or keep still? A part of me wanted to stay hidden, pretend nothing was happening, but curiosity won out. With painstaking slowness, I unzipped the tent just enough to peer through the slit. And there it was, bold as anything. A dark shape crouched low by the fire pit, paws busy with our supplies. The morning light was weak, but enough to catch the glint of eyes and the curve of a snout. A raccoon maybe, or a fox, but when it shifted, the size made me second guess. The silhouette was broader, heavier. Then it lifted its head and I caught a clear look at the muzzle, wet and shining. My breath caught. It was no raccoon. The sound that woke the rest of the group wasn't me unzipping the tent. It was the bear. A low, guttural huff as it shoved its nose into our gear, tossing aside pots and hard. No one dared breathe. Then, as suddenly as it had stopped, the bear turned back to the prize it had already claimed, a half-empty bag of granola and the soda it had punctured. We could hear the fizz spilling onto the ground as it licked and pawed at the can. Mark whispered again, softer this time. We can't just sit here. If it tears into the tent. He didn't finish the thought, and he didn't need to. We all imagined it. Claws, weight, chaos. The problem was, none of us had a clear plan. Last night, we'd been so sure we'd done everything right. Food strung up in a tree, trash bag tied high. But one forgotten bag and a careless soda were all it took. The bear didn't care about rules, it cared about sugar. My heart thudded so hard I thought it might give us away. I leaned toward Mark. The car, I whispered. If we can get to the car. It was only 30 feet away, but 30 feet might as well have been miles with a bear between us and it. Then came another sound, pots clattering to the dirt as the bear nosed deeper into the mess. This time, it gave a frustrated snort, almost a growl. Jenny clutched my arm tight, and for a second, I thought she'd scream again. Instead, something unexpected broke the tension. The bear, seemingly annoyed with the noise it had made, rose up on its hind legs, towering, shaggy, broad-shouldered. It sniffed the air once more, then turned its head toward the forest. For that brief moment, all of us sat frozen, wide-eyed, staring at a wild creature far too close for comfort. And just as quickly, it dropped back down to all fours, still inside our camp, still hungry. The game wasn't over yet. The first move wasn't ours, it was the bear's. With a sudden swipe of its paw, it sent our cooler skidding across the dirt, the plastic scraping loud against the stones. The lid popped open, and a loaf of bread spilled out along with a few apples we'd planned for breakfast. The sound jolted everyone in the tent like a gunshot. Mark's instincts kicked in. He grabbed the aluminium pot lid near his sleeping bag, the one we'd used as a makeshift nylon, 30 feet from safety. The bear stepped forward, closer to the tent. Each movement deliberate, slow, like it was testing us. Its claws dug faint furrows in the dirt. My heart raced so loud I thought the others must hear it. Then, as if annoyed by the commotion, Mark banged the pot lid again, harder. Clang! Clang! His courage, or maybe his foolishness, carried him further. He pushed the tent flap wider and shouted, "Hey, get out of here!" His voice cracked with the effort, but it carried strong. The bear rocked back, startled. For half a second I thought it might charge, but then it huffed, dropped to all fours, and turned toward the tree line. It moved a few paces, then stopped, glancing back over its shoulder as if considering whether to return. That hesitation was the longest few seconds of my life. Finally, with a heavy snort, it lumbered off into the brush, branches snapping in its wake. The sounds faded, leaving behind only the ringing echo of our own breath and the faint fizz of the punctured soda cans spilling into the dirt. Inside the tent, no one spoke at first. Jenny's hand trembled against my arm. My own knees felt like water. Mark lowered the pot lid and exhaled a shaky laugh that wasn't joy, just release. But none of us dared step outside just yet. The woods were quiet again, too quiet. We all knew the bear wasn't far. We sat there in the cramped heat of the tent, every breath shallow, every ear tuned to the silence beyond the flap. Jenny was the first to speak, her voice a whisper, sharp with fear. "It's coming back. I know it's coming back." Mark shook his head, though his eyes stayed fixed on the ground. "Nah, we scared it good. It'll move on." He said it with confidence, but his hand still trembled where he gripped the pot lid. I didn't share his optimism. Bears were clever, and this one had gotten a taste of sugar and bread. That kind of reward has a way of sticking in a wild flashlight, though I wasn't sure whether light would help or hurt. The noise came again, heavier this time, the unmistakable thud of paws on earth. It was still here. Jenny's whisper was ragged. "We can't wait. If it comes back in." She didn't finish, because the bear huffed again, loud enough to carry across camp. This wasn't imagination. It was circling, testing, maybe even angry that we'd dared to interrupt its breakfast. Decision time came hard and fast. Mark lifted the zipper with a slow hand, eyes flicking to me for a signal. I nodded. "On 3, I whispered. Straight to the car. No stopping, no noise. We all counted silently. 1, 2, 3. The zipper rasped open, cool morning air spilling inside. We scrambled out, boots thudding softly in the dirt, eyes darting to the tree line. For a breathless moment I saw nothing, just shadows and smoke from last night's fire. Then movement. A dark shape, massive and solid, slipping between the pines no more than 20 yards away. The bear turned its head toward us, eyes catching the grey light. And that's when we ran. We bolted across camp, stumbling over loose rocks and the remains of our scattered gear. The car gleamed in the pale morning light, 30 feet away, but feeling like miles. Every footfall seemed too loud, every heartbeat hammering in my ears. Behind us came the heavy crash of branches. The bear had noticed. "Don't look back," I yelled, though my voice cracked halfway through. Jenny sprinted just ahead of me, hair streaming behind her, while Mark brought up the rear, pot lid still in hand like some absurd shield. The bear's huff carried close now, closer than I wanted to admit. I risked a glance over my shoulder and saw it clear. Massive shoulders rolling, paws pounding, closing the gap with terrifying ease. My chest clenched with the primal certainty that we weren't fast enough. The car loomed nearer. Jenny reached it first, nosed around at the spilled bread, then finally melted into the trees, its dark form swallowed by the forest. Silence. The kind of silence that feels alive, pulsing in your ears after the storm has passed. Jenny sobbed once, sharp and sudden, before burying her face in her hands. Mark leaned back against the seat, letting out a long, ragged laugh. "Well," he said, voice shaking, "guess breakfast is cancelled." We didn't move for a long while. Not until the morning sun burned through the treetops and painted the car in gold. Only then did we step out, carefully, wary eyes scanning the forest. The camp was a mess, pots overturned, food gone, soda fizzing weakly in the dirt. But we were in one piece. Later, when the adrenaline had drained and the world felt steady again, I sat on the hood of the car, staring into the woods. One lesson lingered heavy and clear. The wilderness isn't ours to tame. It doesn't forgive carelessness. Not when wild hunger finds its way into camp. And as the breeze carried the scent of pine and ashes across the clearing, I promised myself this. Never again would I underestimate what a single forgotten bag of food could invite into the night.